I didn't mean to get anyone fired. I just opened the wrong folder. That's how it started. A random Tuesday morning that felt like any other. The kind of day where the coffee tastes burnt, the air in the office hums with recycled air, and everyone's pretending to be busy enough not to look bored. I'd been with the company for almost 6 years. Analytics, finance side, clean numbers, predictable routines, nothing that would ever make it to Reddit, until that email. The subject line said Q4 review urgent, from Emily in operations. Emily never emailed me directly. She usually went through my manager, or worse, the group chain that made everyone reply, all for no reason. So when I saw her name in my inbox, I thought she'd sent me the usual quarterly spreadsheet. I clicked. No body text, just one attachment. Manager charted review folder.zip. I remember hesitating for a second because the file size was huge, almost a gig, way too big for the reports we usually send around. But curiosity beats protocol every time. I downloaded it. The first few seconds were normal. PDFs, Excel files, the usual jargon, KPI summaries, regional breakdowns, some Q4 forecast slides. But one folder stood out. It was called Internal Bonuses, Confidential, Do Not Forward. I shouldn't have opened it, I know that. But boredom and caffeine make you do stupid things. Inside were more spreadsheets, labeled with employee IDs, and then one sheet labeled Adjustments 2023 Excel 6. I opened it, thinking maybe it was a typo in the data we'd submitted. Instead, it looked like a ledger, columns of names, bonuses, performance ratings, and next to them, adjusted values. At first, I didn't understand what I was seeing. The adjustments weren't minor. Some people's bonuses were doubled. Others were slashed to half. And next to each entry, a column titled Approved By. There were only 3 names there: the manager, the HR lead, and the CFO. I scrolled down, scanning for familiar names, half out of curiosity, half out of unease. That's when I saw mine. The number next to it didn't make sense. It was lower. Way lower than it should have been. I knew my performance score, I knew the percentage. I'd even helped build the formula that calculated it, but someone had changed it manually. Next to the adjusted value, in the comment field, a note read, Compensation deferred for budget optics. Budget optics. 2 words that mean we need to look poorer than we are. I sat back, staring at the screen. I wasn't angry yet, just confused. I checked again to make sure it wasn't an old file. Nope. Time-stamped, from last week. For a few minutes I tried to convince myself it wasn't what it looked like. Maybe it was a draft. Maybe it was for a presentation. Maybe anything but fraud. But the deeper I went, the less innocent it looked. There were hidden tabs in the spreadsheet, linked to an internal directory. One of them titled External Reporting Adjustments. When I clicked it, the formulas broke, and cells flashed. Ref! My laptop froze for a second, like even Excel knew I was somewhere I shouldn't be. That's when Emily messaged me on Teams. Hey, can you please delete that email I sent you? Wrong folder? Wrong folder? My stomach dropped. I typed back, sure, no problem. Then minimized the chat, but I didn't delete it, not yet. I copied the file to my desktop, then I sat there, staring at the progress bar as if it might burn me. Because here's the thing, when you work in finance long enough, you can tell when numbers are honest. These weren't. At 10:13 a.m., my manager, Carl, pinged me. Can you come to my office for a minute? His tone in chat always felt like a summons. I went. He was by the window, pretending to check emails. Emily sat across from him, hands folded, pale. Carl smiled, the kind of smile people use before they say something rehearsed. Hey, you got an email this morning that wasn't meant for you, right? Yeah, I said. Already deleted it. That was the first lie I told that day. He nodded. Good. Just a mix-up. It's clearing the logs. Happens all the time. Emily didn't look up. She was twisting a pen like it might break. When I got back to my desk, the folder in my inbox was gone. Deleted remotely. It has that power. but they didn't know I'd already saved it. For the rest of the day, nobody met my eyes. The office chatter that usually fills the air just died. It was like someone had cut the background noise out of reality. That night, I couldn't stop thinking about it, about how easy it was for them, for people I'd trusted, to manipulate the numbers, steal from their own team, and still send company-wide We're Family emails every Friday. I told myself I'd let it go. Forget it. But the next morning when I opened my laptop, there was a new email sitting on top of my inbox. From CFO Daniel Pierce. Subject, let's talk, today. That was the moment I realized this wasn't a mistake anymore. It was an operation, and I had just stumbled right into the middle of it. Daniel Pierce wasn't the kind of man who sent polite emails. He was the CFO, the highest suit in the building who didn't have to raise his voice to make everyone else lower theirs. I'd spoken to him maybe 3 times in 6 years, always about quarterly reports, never one-on-one. So when his message came through at 8:14 a.m., the office lights felt brighter than usual, like even the bulbs were nervous. His assistant booked the meeting for 9 Mauid sharp. No context, no reason. Just conference room B. I walked in early. The table was spotless, and the windows still fogged from the morning chill. Pierce was already there, standing by the projector like a professor about to give a lecture. He didn't look up right away. He waited until the clock hit exactly 9. "Appreciate your punctuality," he said finally, gesturing to the chair opposite him. His tone was calm, but there was no warmth in it. I sat. He leaned forward, hands folded. "You received an internal file yesterday by mistake." "Yeah," I said. "I told Carl I deleted it." "Did you?" he asked quietly. That pause, that heartbeat of silence, told me he already knew the answer. "I did," I lied again. He nodded, slow. "Good. Because what was in that folder doesn't concern your department, or your pay grade." The words "your pay grade" hit harder than they should have, like a door quietly shutting between me and the truth. I kept my expression neutral. "Understood." Pierce watched me for a long second, like he was deciding if I was useful or dangerous. Then he smiled, small, rehearsed, paper-thin. "Glad we're on the same page," he said. "That's all." But as I stood to leave, he added, "Oh, one more thing. If anyone asks, you never receive that file. Even off the record, okay?" "Of course." He gave a single nod and returned to his laptop, already typing before I'd reached the door. I walked out, feeling like my lungs had forgotten how to expand. Back at my desk, the air felt heavier. Emily's seat was empty. Her computer locked, monitor black. She hadn't come in. Carl's blinds were half drawn, and I could see 2 HR reps standing inside, both of them looking like they wished they were anywhere else. By noon, her name disappeared from the company directory. No goodbye email, no best wishes, just erased. People notice things in offices even when they pretend not to. Conversations got quieter. Laughter stopped halfway. When someone walked by with a clipboard, chairs stopped creaking. That night, I couldn't sleep. My laptop sat on the desk across from my bed, closed, silent, but it felt like it was watching me. I kept thinking about that phrase, budget optics. How many times had it been used? How many people had been shorted so a few executives could pad their performance bonuses? I opened the copy again. This time, I looked deeper. There were more tabs I hadn't noticed before, hidden behind blank cells. One of them contained payout data for the executive team. Their bonuses hadn't just been preserved. They doubled, even in a tight quarter. That wasn't cost control. That was theft. I scrolled until I reached the bottom of the sheet and saw something that made my hands go cold. An email trial pasted into a comment thread. From Daniel Pierce. To Carl S. Adjust all B-tier staff to revise projections. Keep optics consistent. We'll reconcile after audit. B-tier staff. That was me. That was everyone below management. The next morning, the office was quieter than usual. Carl avoided me completely. At 10 a.m., I got an email from HR titled Schedule Adjustment. No message, just a meeting link. The woman on the call looked like she'd rather not be there. She asked the usual, how I was feeling at work, whether I had any security concerns. Then carefully, do you have any copies of internal documents not meant for your department? I lied again. No. She nodded, smiled politely, thanked me for my time, and ended the call. That was the moment it sank in. They weren't investigating the fraud. They were investigating me. The next few days passed like fog. My badge still worked. My emails still sent. But people stopped looking at me, like everyone had gotten the same silent memo. Friday morning, Pierce passed my desk. He paused just long enough to say, "Glad everything's back to normal." I smiled back because that's what you do when the man signing your paycheck is also the man who just buried evidence. But that night, something changed. I went to copy a file to my personal flash drive, a harmless habit, and saw something strange. My desktop shortcut for the deleted folder still linked to a backup, a cloud sync I didn't even remember setting up, and there it was, the full folder, unedited, unwiped, still there, time-stamped, waiting. I stared at it for a long time. Every moral fiber in me fought every practical bone in my body. I could ignore it and keep my job, or I could act and lose everything. That's when I remembered Emily's face, pale, shaking, fired for someone else's crime. And for the first time in 6 years, I felt angry enough to do something about it. When the CFO froze, it was only for a second. But it was enough. A man like Daniel Pierce didn't hesitate unless something hit him right where he was vulnerable. He was standing next to my desk that morning, pretending to ask about a routine audit. The moment his eyes caught the folder name, internal bonuses, confidential, he went completely still. Then, like flipping a switch, he smiled again. "Wrong file," he said softly, voice steady. "Let's delete that one, shall we?" That smile told me everything. It wasn't surprise. It was recognition. By the end of the day, I'd made up my mind. I wasn't going to confront him or HR or Carl. Not directly. I'd seen what happened to Emily. Gone in hours, erased like she never existed. I wasn't going to play defense. I was going to make sure the right people saw what they were pretending didn't exist. The plan wasn't complicated. The company had an internal ethics channel. Anonymous, at least in theory. Everyone joked it was useless, a feel-good initiative for compliance reports. But there was also an external audit firm connected to it, an independent oversight contact buried in a training PDF nobody reads. That was my way out. I used my personal laptop, not the company one, copied the files onto a clean flash drive, stripped metadata, zipped the folder, and sent it from a newly made account with a single line. You'll want to look at line 47 on adjustments 20.23.6. A concerned analyst. I didn't sign it. I didn't need to. The next morning, the storm started quietly. 2 suits I'd never seen before showed up in the lobby. They weren't from our office. No badges, no smiles. They headed straight for the conference rooms with Pierce and the HR director. The blinds closed. The whispers started. By noon, IT announced a system maintenance window. Translation: they were searching for whoever leaked something. I didn't panic. Not yet. But my hands shook when I tried to type. My badge still worked. My access was normal. For now. Around 3, Carl came by my desk. His voice was low, careful. "Hey man, just keep your head down, okay? They're reviewing some files." "Which files?" I asked. He hesitated. "The ones you shouldn't have seen." Then he left. That night, I didn't go home. I stayed late, pretending to finish a report, watching people trickle out one by one. At 8:15 p.m., Pierce came out of the elevator, jacket off, tie loosened. He looked tired, but not defeated. He stopped at Emily's empty cubicle, stared at her nameplate for a long second, then muttered something under his breath and went into his office. I waited until his lights went off, then left. Outside, the parking lot was empty except for his car and mine. The sky was the same gray it had been all week. Everything looked ordinary, but nothing was. The next morning, HR sent out a company-wide email. Effective immediately, all employees must complete a new confidentiality compliance form before end of day. No mention of why, no mention of the auditors in the building, but by 10 a.m., everyone knew. Someone had blown the whistle, and they were terrified. Pierce spent the whole day in meetings with legal. Carl's door stayed shut. Nobody made eye contact in the halls. The printers were silent. Even the air conditioning seemed quieter, like the whole place was holding its breath. By Friday, the first domino fell. Carl's account was deactivated mid-meeting. He didn't come back after lunch. Then HR vanished for a training conference. That's when I started to feel it. Not fear, not even relief, but a strange calm, like watching a building burn that you'd been trapped in for years, and realizing the fire wasn't destroying your life. It was clearing it. Monday morning, an all-staff email appeared at 7:43 a.m. Leadership update. Effective immediately, Daniel Pierce has resigned for personal reasons. Interim CFO to be announced. No explanation. No thanks for his service. Just gone. People whispered in the break room, some scared, some gleeful. Nobody asked me anything directly. Maybe they suspected, maybe they didn't. But when I walked past Emily's old desk, I noticed her monitor was on. It was reactivating it. 2 weeks later, she came back. Not as operations assistant this time, but as part of internal audit. The irony wasn't lost on me. She caught my eye across the room once. Didn't smile, didn't wave, just nodded. Small, knowing, like she understood everything without a single word. I didn't say a thing. I didn't need to. And then one night, as I was packing up to leave, a new email came through from an unfamiliar address. From Compliance. External Audit Org. Subject. Follow-up. Your submission was received and reviewed. Appropriate actions have been taken. Thank you for doing the right thing. No signature, no name, just that. I stared at it for a long time before deleting it. Not because I was scared. Because I didn't need proof anymore. I'd seen it. The system, for once, had cracked open from the inside. That night, I went home and actually slept. Deep, dreamless sleep. The kind that comes after months of holding your breath. For the first time in years, the silence didn't feel heavy. It felt earned. It's strange how quiet justice sounds. No headlines, no speeches, just absence. The sound of doors that no longer open for the wrong people. A month after Pierce's resignation, the office felt different. The tension that once lived in the air had thinned out. Conversations came back, slowly, like color returning to a faded photo. But it wasn't the same company anymore. It was cleaner, smaller, real. Carl never came back. HR changed hands. And the new interim CFO, a woman from another division, sent out a memo that made everyone pause. We'll be conducting a full review of past compensation structures to ensure equity and integrity. That word, integrity, hit differently now. I kept my head down, worked, said little. Nobody ever asked questions about that wrong email, not officially, but I caught looks sometimes, half respect, half fear. People know when something invisible shifts the air. 2 weeks later, I was called into a small meeting room with the new CFO and a compliance officer. They didn't dance around it. She started with, "You've been with the company for a while, right?" 6 years, I said. She nodded. "We reviewed your file. You've been underpaid for several quarters. That's being corrected retroactively." I blinked. "Retroactively?" She smiled slightly. "With interest." There was no mention of Pierce or the leak or anything else. Just numbers. Clean, honest numbers. For once. When I left the room, I walked past the glass wall of the executive wing. New faces. New energy. Nobody looked down any more when you passed. That night, Emily stopped by my desk. She looked steadier now, hair tied back, an ID badge with a new title clipped to her jacket. internal audit. She said, "It's strange being back." "Yeah," I said. "You deserve better." "So did you," she replied quietly. We didn't talk about the folder. We didn't need to. Before leaving, she hesitated. Daniel Pierce. They found more than just the bonus thing. I looked up. She shook her head. "He won't be working anywhere with numbers again." Then she left. I didn't smile. I didn't celebrate. I just sat there staring at my screen, feeling something I hadn't felt in years. Peace that didn't need to announce itself. A few weeks later, I got an unexpected message from the new CFO. "Thank you for your discretion. Some truths don't need an audience, just someone brave enough to look." It wasn't signed with a name, just an initial. M. I closed the message, shut down my computer, and leaned back in the chair. The office lights hummed softly above me. Through the window, the city looked the same. Cars, glass, movement. But to me, it felt like something had finally stopped spinning. When I left, the night air hit my face with that clean, cold kind of quiet you can only get after everything's burned down and rebuilt right. At the parking lot, I saw Emily locking her car. She waved once, small, easy, real. I waved back. Then I got in my car, started the engine, and just sat there for a while. No music, no thoughts, just the soft tick of the cooling engine. People think revenge is loud. It's not. It's the sound of a system correcting itself when someone finally stops pretending not to see. It's a calm breath after months of holding it in. As I drove away, I caught my reflection in the rearview mirror. Tired, older, maybe a little lighter. Some truths don't need to be shouted. They just need to be seen.